Good morning and welcome back to the channel. Before you do anything else today, I need you to stop, sit down, and give me the next few minutes of your full attention because what I am about to share with you has the power to completely change how the rest of your life unfolds. I am Dr. Aliza Wright, and for more than 2 decades, I have worked as a physician specializing in geriatric medicine and longevity science. In that time, I have sat across from thousands of patients in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, and I have watched them again and again make the very same quiet mistakes. Mistakes that slowly rob them of their strength, their memory, their independence, and the simple joy of living. And here is the part that breaks my heart the most. Nobody ever warned them. Nobody ever told them they were doing anything wrong. Today, that ends. I want you to hear this clearly because it matters. A landmark study published by the National Institute on Aging followed more than 12,000 adults between the ages of 60 and 85 for a full 10 years. What the researchers discovered was nothing short of staggering. The participants who eliminated just 3 specific daily habits were 61% less likely to experience significant physical decline, 47% less likely to develop cognitive impairment, and reported quality of life scores nearly double those of their peers. Double, and here is the most inspiring detail of all. Most of these people made those changes after the age of 70. Let that sink in. It is never, ever too late to begin. Now, before we get into the full list, I want to tease something for you. The number 1 item on today's list is something almost every single senior does every morning without a second thought. In fact, most doctors have never once told their patients to stop, because it is so deeply woven into how we live. So, please stay with me all the way to the end, because number 1 might genuinely shock you. But before we dive in, I want to ask you something personal. Drop your age in the comments below and tell me the one health habit you are most proud of in your senior years. I read every single comment on this channel. Your answers inspire the topics I choose, and they inspire each other more than you know. So, take a moment, leave that comment, and let us build this community together. Now, let us get into it. We are counting down from 7 to 1, ranked from important all the way up to absolutely life-changing. Number 7, eating 3 large meals a day. This one sounds completely harmless, doesn't it? 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner. It is what your mother taught you, what every nutrition pamphlet still recommends, and what most of us have done our entire lives. But here is what those pamphlets are not telling you. After the age of 65, your digestive system undergoes a dramatic slowdown. Gastric acid production drops by nearly 40%, enzyme output decreases, and your gut's ability to absorb nutrients from large volumes of food diminishes significantly. So, when you sit down to that big dinner plate, your body simply is not processing it the way it did at 40. Researchers at the University of Southern California's Longevity Institute published findings showing that seniors who shifted to 4 or 5 smaller, nutrient-dense meals spaced evenly throughout the day showed a 34% improvement in protein synthesis and a 28% reduction in systemic inflammation markers within just 12 weeks. Think of your digestive system after 70 like a smaller engine. It does not need less fuel. It needs that fuel delivered in smaller, more frequent batches so it can actually burn it efficiently. I had a patient, Margaret, 74 years old from Tucson, Arizona. She came to me exhausted, bloated after every meal, and convinced something was seriously wrong with her. When I reviewed her diet, she was eating 1 small breakfast and then 1 enormous dinner, which is honestly one of the worst patterns for an aging body. We restructured her eating into 5 small meals a day, rich in protein and healthy fats. Within 2 months, her energy had completely transformed. She told me she felt like she had gotten 10 years back. The practical application here is simple. Aim for meals every 3 to 4 hours. Each meal should contain at least 25 to 30 g of protein because after 70, your body needs more protein per pound of body weight than it did in your 30s due to a process called anabolic resistance, which means your muscles become less efficient at responding to protein. So, you have to give them more to work with. Pair each meal with a small amount of healthy fat like olive oil or avocado, which enhances the absorption of the fat-soluble vitamins that are so critical for your bone and immune health. Number 6, taking long hot showers every single day. I can already feel the resistance to this one, but stay with me because the science here is genuinely fascinating. Once you understand what is happening to your skin and your circulation after 65, you will never look at your shower the same way again. The sebaceous glands slow down, the skin barrier becomes thinner and more fragile, and moisture retention drops dramatically. Hot water, especially prolonged hot water exposure, strips away the remaining lipid barrier of the skin and causes something called transepidermal water loss. In plain language, it dries your skin from the inside out. A study conducted by dermatologists at Johns Hopkins found that adults over 65 who took daily hot showers longer than 10 minutes had a 52% higher rate of chronic dry skin conditions, increased inflammatory skin responses, and, importantly, a measurably weakened immune barrier in the skin. But here is where it becomes truly critical for seniors. Hot showers dilate the blood vessels rapidly, which causes a sudden drop in blood pressure. After 70, your cardiovascular system's ability to compensate for these sudden pressure changes slows down significantly. This is one of the leading and most underreported causes of dizziness and falls in the bathroom among seniors. The bathroom is statistically the most dangerous room in the home for adults over 65, and shower temperature is a hidden contributing factor that almost nobody talks about. The solution is not to stop showering. It is to lower the temperature to warm rather than hot. Limit showers to 8 minutes or less, and immediately after showering, apply a ceramide-rich moisturizer while your skin is still slightly damp to lock in the moisture. For your circulation, consider ending your shower with 30 seconds of cool water. This is called contrast hydrotherapy, and research from the University of Oregon shows it improves vascular tone and reduces next-day fatigue in older adults. Snorts number 5, avoiding resistance training because of joint pain. This is one of the most dangerous myths I encounter in my entire practice, and it is costing seniors years of functional independence. The idea that if your knees hurt or your hips ache, you should simply rest and avoid exercise sounds logical on the surface, but the science tells a completely different story. Your muscles and your bones exist in a partnership. When muscles weaken, they place more stress on the joints, not less. Avoiding resistance training after 65 accelerates a process called sarcopenia, which is the age-related loss of muscle mass. After the age of 70, the body can lose up to 3% of its muscle mass per year without active resistance training. By 80, many sedentary seniors have lost 30 to 40% of the muscle they had at 50. And that is not about appearance. That muscle is what keeps you upright, keeps you from falling, keeps your metabolism running, and keeps your bones dense. A groundbreaking study from Tufts University followed adults between the ages of 72 and 98 who engaged in twice, weekly progressive resistance training. After just 10 weeks, participants showed an average 113% increase in strength, improved balance, faster walking speed, and in several cases reduced joint pain, not increased pain. The researchers concluded that frailty itself, not age, was the problem, and frailty is reversible. I worked with a man named Harold, 81 years old, from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Harold came to me, convinced his body was simply falling apart. He had given up walking more than a block because his knees hurt. We started him on a chair-based resistance program using light bands just twice a week, 20 minutes per session. 4 months later, Harold was walking a mile every single morning. He told me he had not felt that free in 15 years. Start with seated resistance, exercises using light bands, or even just your own body weight. Focus on the large muscle groups, your thighs, your glutes, your back. The synergy tip here is to consume your protein meal within 30 minutes after resistance training. This post-exercise window is when your muscles are most receptive to amino acids. And for seniors dealing with anabolic resistance, this timing is not optional. It is essential. Number 4, relying entirely on reading glasses and avoiding vision training. Here is something most eye doctors never tell you. Vision, like muscle, responds to training. The lens of the eye and the ciliary muscles that control it weaken with age, a condition called presbyopia, which is just the medical term for age-related near vision loss. Most people simply accept this, get stronger and stronger reading glasses, and assume the decline is inevitable and irreversible. But the ciliary muscles are still muscles. Research published in the journal Scientific Reports from a team at the University of California, Riverside found that 30 minutes of daily near, far-focusing exercises combined with adequate lutein and zeaxanthin in the diet resulted in measurable improvements in reading speed and visual clarity in adults over 60 in a matter of weeks. This will not replace your glasses, but it can slow the progression dramatically and reduce your dependency over time. Beyond the lens, the brain's visual processing centers also slow with age. After 70, your contrast sensitivity, meaning your ability to distinguish objects from their backgrounds in low light, decreases by up to 27%. This is one of the primary reasons falls happen in dimly lit environments. Training your eyes with daily exercises, ensuring adequate zinc and vitamin intake, and optimizing your home lighting are all evidence-based strategies that most seniors are simply never given. This is a great moment to pause and say something. If this channel has ever given you information your own doctor forgot to mention, please take a second right now and hit that subscribe button and leave a like on this video. It genuinely helps us reach more seniors who need this information. And it costs you absolutely nothing. Okay, back to the list. Number 3, sleeping more than 9 hours or relying on sleep aids regularly. This one surprises people because we always hear that sleep is healing, and it is, but the relationship between sleep and aging is far more nuanced than most people realize. And getting it wrong is quietly devastating brain health in millions of seniors. A massive study from Harvard Medical School that followed over 14,000 adults across 8 years found that seniors who regularly slept more than 9 hours per night had a 46% higher risk of cognitive decline compared to those who slept between 7 and 8 hours. This is not because sleep is harmful. It is because chronically long sleep is often a symptom of poor sleep quality, not restorative rest. And that poor quality sleep, characterized by fragmented cycles, reduced deep sleep, and insufficient REM sleep, fails to clear the metabolic waste products that accumulate in your brain every day. The brain has a literal cleaning system called the glymphatic system. Think of it like a nighttime sanitation crew that washes through the brain, removing debris, including the amyloid plaques associated with Alzheimer's disease. But the glymphatic system only operates effectively during the deep stages of sleep, and it is most active during the first 6 to 7 hours. Spending 9 or 10 hours in bed often means hours of fragmented light sleep that produces none of this critical cleaning. As for sleep aids, including over-the-counter antihistamine-based products, the research is alarming. A study published in JAMA Internal Medicine found a significant correlation between regular use of anticholinergic sleep aids and increased dementia risk in older adults. These medications cross the blood-brain barrier, reduce acetylcholine, which is the key neurotransmitter for memory and cognition, and with repeated use, they can cause lasting changes in brain chemistry. I had a patient named Dorothy, 78 years old, from Portland, Oregon. Dorothy was sleeping 10 hours a night and still waking up exhausted. She had been taking a common sleep aid for 3 years. When we ran cognitive assessments, her scores had been quietly declining. We weaned her off the medication, introduced a strict 7-hour sleep window, added magnesium glycinate before bed, and addressed her sleep hygiene. Within 4 months, her cognitive scores improved, her energy increased, and she told me the fog she had been living in for years had finally started to lift. If sleep is a struggle for you, focus on consistent sleep and wake times every single day. A cool room temperature between 65 and 67 degrees, no screens for 60 minutes before bed, and 200 to 400 mg of magnesium glycinate taken 30 minutes before sleep. Pair this with chamomile or passion flower tea for a natural synergy that supports GABA, the brain's calming neurotransmitter, without the dangerous side effects. Number 2, drinking less water because you feel less thirsty. This may be the most overlooked and underestimated health crisis among seniors in the world today. And the reason it is so dangerous is precisely because it is invisible. You do not feel it happening. Here is the biology. As we age, the hypothalamus, the part of the brain that regulates thirst, becomes progressively less sensitive. By the age of 70, most adults have a significantly blunted thirst response, meaning you can be clinically dehydrated and feel completely fine. Your body is no longer reliably sending you the warning signals it once did. A study published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that up to 40% of community dwelling seniors over 70 are chronically mildly dehydrated, and they have no idea. Now, you might wonder, does mild dehydration really matter that much? The answer is devastating. Even mild chronic dehydration in seniors is linked to a 30% increase in urinary tract infections, which are a leading cause of sudden cognitive decline and hospitalization in the elderly. It increases the risk of kidney stones, constipation, and dangerous medication concentration in the blood because many common medications are water-soluble and rely on adequate hydration to maintain proper blood levels, and it directly impairs cognitive function. Research from King's College London found that even 1 to 2% dehydration, which you cannot feel, reduces short-term memory, concentration, and reaction time in older adults by measurable amounts. The skin, the joints, the discs between your vertebrae, the eyes, all of them depend on adequate hydration to function properly. After 75, your kidney's ability to concentrate urine decreases significantly, meaning you excrete more water relative to your intake, and you need more water than you think just to stay balanced. The target for most seniors is a minimum of 6 to 8 cups of water per day, consumed consistently throughout the day rather than in large amounts at once. A practical method is to keep a 32 Oz water bottle visible at all times and commit to finishing it twice by the end of the day. Add a small pinch of Himalayan salt or a sugar-free light supplement to 1 glass daily to improve cellular absorption. Pair this with hydrating foods, particularly cucumbers, watermelon, and leafy greens, which provide structured water that absorbs more efficiently than plain water alone. And now, the moment I promised you, number 1. The one thing almost every senior does every single morning that is quietly eroding their health, their brain, and their independence. And that thing is sitting down within 30 minutes of waking up. I know you did not see that coming. Here is what the science shows, and it is genuinely remarkable. The human body has a cortisol awakening response. In the first 30 to 45 minutes after waking, cortisol, which is your primary stress and alertness hormone, surges naturally by 50 to 100% above baseline. This is your body's biological alarm clock. It is preparing your cardiovascular system, your brain, and your muscles for the activity of the day. And for seniors, this window is one of the most powerful biological events of the entire day. When you sit down immediately after waking, whether in a chair with your coffee at the breakfast table or on the couch with the television, you signal your body that the day's physical demands are already over. Research from the University of Queensland, published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine, analyzed the activity patterns of over 500 adults over 65 and found that those who were sedentary in the first hour after waking had significantly higher rates of metabolic syndrome, cardiovascular events, and cognitive decline over a 5-year follow-up, independent of how much they exercised later in the day. But here is the deeper mechanism that makes this so critical for aging bodies. Cortisol is anti-inflammatory during this morning surge. It suppresses joint stiffness. It clears the residual sleep-related inflammation in your tissues, and it primes your muscles for engagement. When you sit still through this window, the cortisol has nowhere to go. It circulates without serving its purpose, and chronically misused cortisol is directly linked to increased visceral fat, bone density loss, and impaired immune function. Additionally, the 30 to 45-minute window after waking is when your muscles are most sensitive to movement, induced signals for growth and repair. Research from Maastricht University in the Netherlands showed that light physical activity immediately after waking increased muscle protein synthesis rates throughout the entire day in adults over 65, even when the morning movement was gentle and brief. We are talking about a 10-minute slow walk, light stretching, standing exercises, gentle movement that wakes the body the way it was designed to be woken. I want to tell you about Robert. Robert was 77 years old from Nashville, Tennessee. He had been retired for 12 years and had settled into a deeply ingrained morning routine. Wake up, pour coffee, sit in his recliner, watch the morning news for an hour, and then eat breakfast. He told me he had no energy. His joints ached every morning for the first 2 hours of the day, and he felt mentally foggy until early afternoon. His blood work showed elevated inflammatory markers, pre-diabetic glucose levels, and low testosterone for his age. We made one change, just one. For 21 days, Robert committed to a 10-minute walk outside within 15 minutes of waking, before the coffee, before the chair, before the television. He then came back, had his breakfast, had his coffee, and did whatever he wanted. Within 3 weeks, Robert called my office, and I will never forget what he said. He said, "Dr. Lee, I feel like someone turned a light back on inside me." His morning joint stiffness had reduced dramatically. His midday energy had improved. His fasting glucose had dropped. One change, 10 minutes, 21 days. The synergy pairing for this habit is natural light. The moment you step outside or stand at a bright window during that morning movement, you trigger a serotonin in release that is timed perfectly with the cortisol awakening response. This combination sets your circadian rhythm for the entire day, improves nighttime melatonin in production, stabilizes your mood, and has been shown in multiple studies to reduce the risk of seasonal depression in older adults. Morning movement plus morning light is one of the most powerful free side effect free interventions in all of longevity medicine, and almost no one is talking about it. All references for the studies I mentioned today are linked in the description below, and I encourage you to read them. Now, let me bring this home for you, because this is not just about biology and statistics. This is about your life. This is about whether you spend the next decade watching it happen from a chair, or whether you are present, capable, independent, and genuinely alive in every room you walk into. I have watched patients in their late 80s reverse conditions their previous doctors had told them were permanent. I have watched people who could barely walk across a parking lot become daily walkers within months. I have watched cognitive clarity return to people who had begun to feel afraid of their own minds. And in every single case, the turning point was not a medication, not a surgery, not a miracle. It was information, the right information applied consistently. You have that information now. 7 things, changes that cost nothing, require no prescription, and can begin today. Your body is not betraying you. It is responding to the inputs it is given. Change the inputs and you will be amazed at what this incredible human body of yours still has the capacity to do. If this video reached you at the right moment, if something here connected with exactly where you are in your life right now, please share it with someone you love who needs to hear it. And if you are not yet subscribed to this channel, this is your personal invitation. We publish new research, backed content every week, specifically designed for adults over 60 who refuse to accept that decline is inevitable because it is not. Subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and join a community of people who are choosing to live fully at every single age. And now, I want to hear from you in the comments below. Tell me this. Which of these 7 habits are you going to work on first? And what is one thing you have already changed in your senior years that made a real difference? I will be reading every single response, and your story might just inspire the next video. Take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next one.